Hey, Dr. Nancy's here, and I'm excited to welcome you to a special broadcast in which I get to introduce Mary Putnam. And Mary has a very interesting background, and she does some unusual things, which is the reason why I wanted to showcase her to my community. Mary, would you mind beginning with the fact that you are the fifth generation entrepreneur in your family?
Oh, well, that's an interesting bit of information. You don't even really think about it as you're growing up. But when you start I always knew I wanted to have my own business. This was just in me. And so when I started it and I started like having those conversations at the dinner table with other entrepreneurs in the family, I started counting back the generations and just that we have that entrepreneurial spirit in our family. And now my son has his own business. And so on it goes.
I think that's phenomenal. Mary, I'm going to ask you to check your audio because it's sounding like it's not coming directly into the microphone, like it's coming from beyond. A little bit of echoiness, okay? And I know that people are going to want to hear everything you have to share.
Certainly. Is that better?
That is better. Thank you. You're sounding more
Okay.
like yourself.
Thank
Good.
you.
So, as Mary said, she's number four, and her son is the number five generation entrepreneur in her family. So, give us a quick update as to how your career path evolved from when you say went to college to where it is now.
Well, so my big career, I had a lot, we've all had a bunch of little jobs in the background as we were figuring out who we were. But I went to work for Rockwell International. And if you don't know who they are, in the 15 years I worked there, I was privileged to work with some of the geniuses that built the Apollo lunar landing module. And then there were other first in class aerospace projects that were developed right here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. One of which everyone's pretty familiar which is the space shuttle, and many military endeavors like the B-1 bomber. But then one that you'll all be familiar with is the Boeing jetliners. And so during the Boeing jetliner era, I became the de facto expert in computer systems and what you could do with them. You guys might or might not remember mainframe computers, but that was really all we had. And so on came this onset of microcomputers and this evolution of freeing our data up and giving us more access to content and computers and things like that. So I just took to it like a fish takes to water. I didn't I did later go take some training, and I thought, I'm going to school for this stuff and I already know it. So I think I'm going to quit wasting my time. And I jumped out of there. There was not a lot of, I'm just going to say, not a lot of upward mobility for women in manufacturing, aerospace in particular, although I worked with a bunch of really generous men who encouraged me all the time. And so I jumped
So
out of there.
I'm going to cut in here because I don't want to spend a lot of time on that because I do want to get to your marketing career. So I'm going to ask you to share with us, how did you get from that computer technology to being a marketing guru and a website developer?
Absolutely. So I did write some code when I was at Rockwell. I kind of always skip over that part. I got asked to write an AI project. This was a very early instance of artificial intelligence that used what we call fuzzy logic. We built some very interesting products in the industry, first in industry uses, and NASA wanted us to capture that. So I did write an artificial intelligence program for them, and I wrote a lot of little programs along the way. So I jumped out of there, and so I did a bunch of work for a lot of companies as a consultant, and I decided I wanted to be a part of this internet wave that was occurring. And so with my technology background, I bought some equipment, I opened an ISP, I built some wireless backbones. I'm going really fast. It was 10 years. It was just a wild, fun, sort of Wild West kind of thing, no rules. And in that process, people were saying, can you build us a website? And I'm like, yeah, sure. So, I had that background for systems development, and I brought on some programmers. And then we started looking at search engine optimization. Okay, so I'm going to just say this. I was in the internet industry before Google or AT&T. And so when Google came on the scene, they started changing things. And we were like, what are they doing? So we just started watching what they were doing and tracking it and writing code. And so essentially, the most intelligent thing you can do is play by the rule book. So Google gives us the rules and we excel at them. Now there are nuances, and I don't want anyone to think that there is a one size fits all solution to marketing your website.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is exactly why what I wanted you to address, because in talking with Mary, she has a content management system that will blow your socks away.
Yeah.
And this is what I wanted to highlight for those of you who may be thinking, oh, my website doesn't do much for me. Mary not only designs websites, I would have to say that Mary is a very savvy business consultant. And this is what sets her apart from other people who do website development. So take it from here, Mary. What's that content management all about?
Well, so once you get a website, you're going to want to make some changes along the way. My clients were doing it. Everybody's doing it. Your product development, what you want to market shifts. You may be marketing something today that is superseded by something that you just brought on last year, and that's where you want to put your focus. And so your website's going to shift with those marketing shifts that you want to focus your revenue generation on. I mean, that's it. At the end of the day, where do you want your revenue generation to come from and your leads on your website to come from? And there's a lot of other things. Example, your staff changes, you want to be able to update that. And so a lot of times I get complaints from people, not my clients, but people I'm talking to, that they ask their web developer to update their website, and it took them forever to get it done. So with our content management system, whether you do it yourself or whether you ask us to do it, it can be done in a very short amount of time. So the other thing, I'm going to go on, Nancy, if you will allow me. The other thing that we built in, because remember, I'm tracking search engine optimization and I'm tracking Google and their rules. So we started building all the essential things that Google wants to see you do into the rule set of our content management system. So, and then we said, okay, well, let's put the speed in there too, because Google's measuring that. And even if Google isn't measuring it, your customers are. So if your website's not loading in under 3 seconds, you need to do something about that, because you're losing sales. Every time somebody goes to your website and it doesn't load fast enough, you've lost a customer. And then the third thing that we built into it was security. Now you're going to ask yourself, why security? Nobody really talks about that. I have an SSL certificate.
Yes, this is, again, another thing I want you to touch on is the security of our websites, because not only do we have to keep them up to date regarding search terms, but this, open your ears, this is really important information. Go ahead, Mary.
Certainly. And so with that internet background, I was highly attuned to security, because this is one of the things that we were doing all the time, was really tracking what hackers are trying to do in the network. And websites are vulnerable. Your website lives on a server somewhere out there in the world, and they have certain things that they can do to help you, but your website needs certain things that help you as well. And so we integrate that into what we're doing. I do audit a lot of websites. I'm highly concerned about this as kind of a passion for me. I really, even if I don't do it for you, I just want everybody to make sure that their website's secure, because you never want to wake up in the morning and get a text message or a phone call from a client that says, I tried to go to your website and there's a picture of the Green Hulk on your website, or worse, right? I'm just using a small example. Or, phishing is a very big thing these days. I talk to IT people all the time. And if somebody wants to steal your client information, then it's very easy for them to put, if you're not protected, put phishing code onto your website without you even knowing it.
Yeah.
And then the
Yeah,
third
this is
one,
exactly what people need to pay attention to. Take note of this. Go ahead.
yeah, the third one is called code injection. And there's a lot of ways that can happen. The simplest one is if you hire somebody to run your Google ads for you and give them access to your Google Analytics account, they can actually inject code, rewrite the code on your website from your Google Analytics. That you want to make sure if you give somebody that power. We work with our clients to keep their ad people from doing that. They have to have a better system, and they don't get to inject code in order to try to get you ad revenue. But malicious actors can do that even without your Google Ads account. And so that's why you need to make sure that you have all these little pieces built into your website that prevent that from happening.
Yeah.
It's super important.
Yeah. So again, in a nutshell, this is a gal who really has tremendous understanding about your website, its design, how to protect you, how to obviously make that website work for you. So if you're dissatisfied with how your website is currently attracting prospects and inviting them to do business with you, definitely, Mary, I think you offer an audit. Am I correct?
Absolutely. If you've seen this video, then you can go to, or this podcast, if you're on here live, you can go to our website and schedule a website audit free of charge. And we'll tell you, we'll diagnose exactly what's wrong and what you need to be doing based on, I want to hear what your goals are, what you're trying to achieve.
Mm-hmm.
So we ask you to answer that question so we can give you actionable data.
Right.
And whether you come and work with us or whether you take that back to your existing web designer, those are your options. But we love helping people, so that's that.
Yeah, and again, when I had my website read, and it doesn't take very long, we were actually on just a coffee chat, and Mary looked at my website and immediately caught some issues, which I've now brought to my website manager in order to address. So this is a really important thing. She's offering you that audit. We're going to put it in the comment section so that you can catch her website and make sure you take advantage of that.
And so can I put that in the comments section?
You may, I can, both of us will. It'll be there for sure.
Okay, then I'm not going to worry about it. You're going to handle it.
Yeah, we don't have to worry about it for right now. Right now, is there any additional comments you want to share before we close?
Well, I got my big thing, like I said, that's my passion is website security. And so I'm putting out a lot of effort to educate people about that, so that what I say is, and I do even talks in public, for every website out there that's not secure, every one of us is at risk. Now that sounds like a big claim, but let me tell you why that is so. If your website's not secure, and I can go as a malicious actor, anybody can go and drop code into your website through code insertion. And then Nancy goes to your website, and that puts a dropper in there, and it drops into her browser, and it's all transparent. You don't know it's there, and she doesn't know it's there. And so what these malicious actors, why are they doing it? You're like, why are they doing it? They're not getting paid to do it. Why do they do it? They can aggregate all of those little pieces of code. The little piece of code actually says, hi, I'm here. This is how you access me. So it sends out a message to the person who dropped it. And when they're ready to implement a malicious attack on, I can't tell you who all's getting hacked these days. You just have to stay up on that. But when they want to initiate a malicious attack, let's say on a bank, and they activate all of those little bots that are sitting on computers everywhere, and they tell them, go do this attack. And so what it does is it breaks down the system. It starts hitting everything really fast and breaks down the system. then that gives them an inside. And then once they're inside, it's ransomware, it's all kind of things. So
Yeah.
it's really important. So everyone,
this is happening not just to the large companies. So again, small entrepreneurs, professional entrepreneurs, our websites are at risk as well. And again, this is something we don't see, but there, I urge you to take precaution. Use the audit that Mary is offering for free. So
yeah, you don't ever want to get a call from a client who says we had an audit or we got hacked, and they tracked that hack back to your website. We got that from your website. And so you don't want to be on the receiving end of that. Be proactive, get that taken care of, and document that you took care of it. So if that day ever comes, you can say, oh no, we did this.
Yeah. So thank you so much, Mary, for being my guest. To your sales success, it's Dr. Nancy Zare, Sales Whisperer with Mary Putnam.
Thank you.